Imagine a world where moving from one place to another is logically impossible. A world where every step you take, every journey you embark on, is fraught with paradoxes that defy common sense. This is the perplexing realm of Zeno's paradoxes, a domain where logic and intuition clash in the most bewildering ways. Zeno of Elea, a Greek philosopher who lived around 490 to 430 BC, presented a series of philosophical problems that have puzzled thinkers for centuries. His ideas have echoed through time, challenging the minds of mathematicians, scientists, and philosophers alike. These paradoxes, like riddles of motion, challenge our basic understanding of space, time, and movement. They force us to question the very fabric of reality and the principles we take for granted. Zeno argued that motion is an illusion, and he used clever logical arguments to support his claims. His paradoxes, such as the famous Achilles and the Tortoise, illustrate how motion can be infinitely divided, making it seem impossible to ever reach a destination. His paradoxes are not meant to be practical problems, but rather tools to probe the nature of reality itself. They invite us to explore the boundaries of our understanding and to consider the limitations of our perceptions. Zeno's paradoxes force us to confront the limits of our intuition. They reveal the hidden complexities of what we often consider simple and straightforward. They demonstrate that what seems obvious to our senses, the everyday experience of motion, can be questioned and deconstructed through the power of logic. By dissecting these paradoxes, we gain a deeper appreciation for the mysteries of the universe. Let us now venture into the heart of these paradoxes to understand their baffling nature. Together, we will unravel the intricate arguments that have fascinated and confounded humanity for millennia. One of Zeno's most famous paradoxes is the dichotomy paradox. This ancient Greek philosopher posed a series of paradoxes that challenge our understanding of motion and infinity. Imagine you want to walk across a room. It seems like a simple task, right? Just put one foot in front of the other until you reach the other side. But before you can reach the other side, you must first cover half the distance. This is where the paradox begins to unfold. Simple enough, you might think. Covering half the distance seems straightforward, but Zeno argues that before you can cover that half, you must first cover half of that half, and so on. This process continues infinitely. This creates an infinite series of ever smaller distances that you must traverse. Each step you take requires you to complete another smaller step first. According to Zeno, you can never even begin to walk across the room because you would need to complete an infinite number of tasks, which is impossible. This paradox challenges our very understanding of motion, the dichotomy. Paradox highlights the problem of infinity. It forces us to question how we can ever complete any journey if we must first complete an infinite number of smaller steps. It suggests that even a finite distance can be divided into an infinite number of segments. This idea is both fascinating and perplexing. This creates a logical dilemma. How can we ever complete an infinite number of actions in a finite amount of time? Zeno's paradoxes continue to intrigue and challenge philosophers, mathematicians, and thinkers to this day, reminding us of the complexities of infinity and motion. Another intriguing paradox is Achilles and the tortoise. In this thought experiment, the swift warrior Achilles races against a tortoise. To make it fair, the tortoise is given a head start. Achilles, being much faster, should easily overtake the tortoise. However, Zeno argues that Achilles can never catch up. By the time Achilles reaches the tortoise's starting point, the tortoise will have moved forward to a new position. When Achilles reaches that position, the tortoise will have moved again, and so on, ad infinitum. This paradox seems absurd because we know from experience that faster objects overtake slower ones. However, Zeno's logic presents a compelling challenge. It suggests that even if the gap between Achilles and the tortoise constantly shrinks, there will always be a gap, no matter how small. The arrow paradox tackles the nature of motion directly, presenting a fascinating challenge to our understanding of reality. Imagine an arrow in flight, soaring through the air with purpose and speed. At any given moment, the arrow occupies a space equal to its length, seemingly frozen in that instant. Zeno argues that if time is composed of indivisible moments, then in each moment, the arrow is at rest, not moving at all. Since the arrow is at rest in every moment, and time is made up of these moments, the arrow is always at rest. Therefore, motion is impossible, according to Zeno. This paradox seems to defy our senses as we clearly perceive the arrow moving through the air, covering distance. The arrow paradox challenges our understanding of time and motion, pushing us to reconsider how we perceive movement. It suggests that if we view time as a series of static snapshots, then motion becomes inexplicable, a series of still images rather than a continuous flow. How can something be at rest in every moment, yet still move from one point to another? This question remains a profound puzzle, inviting deeper reflection on the nature of reality and the fabric of time itself. Section 5. Ancient Puzzles, Modern Solutions. Zeno's paradoxes sparked debate and discussion among ancient philosophers. Aristotle, one of the most influential thinkers of all time, addressed Zeno's arguments in his work, Physics. He argued that Zeno's paradoxes arose from a misunderstanding of the nature of infinity. Aristotle believed that Zeno mistakenly treated infinity as a completed totality rather than a potential process. He argued that while it is impossible to traverse an infinite distance in a finite time, it is possible to traverse a finite distance that has been infinitely divided. Aristotle's insights provided a framework for understanding Zeno's paradoxes, but they did not fully resolve the mathematical issues raised. It was not until the development of calculus in the 17th century that mathematicians could provide more rigorous solutions. Aristotle's key insight was to distinguish between actual infinity and potential infinity. Zeno's paradoxes, he argued, rely on the idea of actual infinity, which assumes that an infinite number of points or moments exist simultaneously. Aristotle, however, proposed that infinity is potential. We can always divide a distance or a period of time into smaller and smaller parts. But this process of division can continue indefinitely. It does not mean that an infinite number of parts actually exist. By reframing the concept of infinity, Aristotle paved the way for a more nuanced understanding of Zeno's paradoxes. His ideas laid the groundwork for future mathematicians to develop more precise solutions. Calculus, developed independently by Isaac Newton and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, provided the mathematical tools needed to address Zeno's paradoxes directly. Calculus deals with infinitesimals, which are infinitely small quantities. Using calculus, we can represent the infinite series of distances in the dichotomy paradox as a geometric series. This series converges to a finite value, meaning that the sum of the infinite distances is not infinite, but rather a specific number. Calculus demonstrates that it is possible to complete an infinite number of steps in a finite amount of time, as long as the steps become infinitely small. This mathematical framework resolves the apparent contradiction at the heart of Zeno's paradoxes. While Zeno's paradoxes can be resolved mathematically, they continue to fascinate and challenge us today. They highlight the limitations of our intuition and the importance of rigorous logical analysis. They also raise profound questions about the nature of space, time, and continuity. In modern physics, Zeno's paradoxes have found new relevance in the realm of quantum mechanics. The concept of quantization, where energy and other physical quantities exist in discrete packets, echoes Zeno's ideas about the division of space and time. Zeno's paradoxes remind us that the universe is often stranger and more complex than it appears. They encourage us to question our assumptions and to explore the boundaries of human understanding. These ancient riddles continue to inspire new insights and discoveries in mathematics, physics, and philosophy. Though Zeno's paradoxes initially seem to prove that motion is impossible, they actually highlight the incredible complexity and wonder of movement. The ability to move seamlessly through space and time is a fundamental aspect of our reality that we often take for granted. By challenging our assumptions about motion, Zeno forces us to appreciate the intricate interplay of space, time, and change that allows for the movement we experience every day. His paradoxes serve as a reminder that even the most basic aspects of our world can be full of mystery and wonder. So the next time you take a step, remember the legacy of Zeno of Elea. His paradoxes may have questioned the possibility of motion, but they ultimately revealed its profound and awe-inspiring nature.